Robert Clark Seger, born May 6, 1945, is an American singer, songwriter, and musician. As a locally successful Detroit area artist, he performed and recorded as Bob Seger and the Last Heard and the Bob Seger System throughout the 1960s, breaking through with his first album, Ramblin Gamblin Man, which contained his first national hit of the same name, in 1968. By the early 1970s, he had dropped the system from his recordings and continued to strive for broader success with various other bands. In 1973, he put together the Silver Bullet Band, with a group of Detroit area musicians, with whom he became most successful on the national level with the album Live Bullet, 1976. Recorded live with the Silver Bullet Band in 1975 at Cobo Hall in Detroit, Michigan. In 1976, he achieved a national breakout with the studio album Night Moves. On his studio albums, he also worked extensively with the Alabama-based Muscle Shoals rhythm section, which appeared on several of Seger's best-selling singles and albums. A roots rocker with a classic raspy, powerful voice, Seger wrote and recorded songs that dealt with love, women, and blue-collar themes, and is one of the best-known examples of a heartland rock artist. He has recorded many hits, including Night Moves, Turn the Page, Main Street, Still the Same, Hollywood Nights, Against the Wind, You'll Accompany Me, Shame on the Moon, Roll Me Away, Like a Rock, and Shakedown, the last of which was written for the 1987 film Beverly Hills Cop 2 and topped the Billboard Hot 100 chart. He also co-wrote the Eagles' #1 hit, Heartache Tonight, and his recording of Old Time Rock and Roll was named one of the songs of the century in 2001. With a career spanning 6 decades, Seger has sold more than 75 million records worldwide, making him one of the world's best-selling artists of all time. Seger was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004 and the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2012. Seger was named Billboard's 2015 Legend of Live honoree at the 12th Annual Billboard Touring Conference and Awards, held November 18 to 19 at the Roosevelt Hotel in New York. He announced his farewell tour in September 2018. Seger was born at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, Michigan, the son of Charlotte and Stuart Seger. At age 5, he moved with his family to Ann Arbor. He had an older brother, George. Seger's father, a medical technician for the Ford Motor Company, played several instruments and Seger was exposed to music from an early age. Seger was also exposed to frequent arguments between his parents that disturbed the neighborhood at night. In 1956, when Seger was 10 years old, his father abandoned the family and moved to California. The remaining family soon lost their comfortable middle-class status and struggled financially. Seger attended Tapan Junior High School, now Tapan Middle School, in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and graduated in 1963 from Pioneer High School, known at the time as Ann Arbor High School. He ran track and field in high school. Seger also went to Lincoln Park High School for a time. Regarding his early musical inspirations, Seger has stated, "Little Richard. He was the first one that really got to me. Little Richard and, of course, Elvis Presley. Come Go With Me, by the Dell Vikings, a hit in 1957, was the first record he bought." Bob Seger's next record was 1991's The Fire Inside, at a time when glam metal, grunge and alternative rock were taking the forefront. His new music found little visibility on the radio or elsewhere. The same was true of 1995's It's a Mystery, although the album was certified gold, 500,000 copies sold. However, in 1994, Seger released Greatest Hits. The compilation album was his biggest ever record in terms of sales, selling nearly 10 million copies in the United States as of 2010. Seger did go back on the road again for a 1996 tour, which was successful and sold the 4th largest number of tickets of any North American tour that year. Seger was once known for his concerts in small venues, as witnessed with his appearance at the 18th Amendment in Omaha, Nebraska. Seger took a sabbatical from the music business for about 10 years to spend time with his wife and 2 young children. In 2001 and 2002, Seger won the prestigious Port Huron to Mackinac boat race aboard his 52-foot, 16 meters, sailboat Lightning. He subsequently sold the boat. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on March 15, 2004. Fellow Detroiter Kid Rock gave the induction speech, and Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm proclaimed that date Bob Seger Day in his honor. In 2005, Seger was featured singing with Three Doors Down on the song, Landing in London, from their 17 Days album. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band were inducted into the Michigan Rock and Roll Legends Hall of Fame in 2005. Seger's first new album in 11 years, titled Face the Promise, was released in 2006. In its first 45 days, it sold more than 400,000 copies. The album sold over 1.2 million copies, returning Seger to platinum status and staying on the Billboard chart for several months. His supporting tour was also eagerly anticipated, with many shows selling out within minutes. Showing that Seger's legendary appeal in Michigan had not diminished, all 10,834 tickets available for his first show at Grand Rapids Van Andel Arena sold out in under 5 minutes. 3 additional shows were subsequently added, each of which also sold out. In 2009, Seger released a compilation album titled Early Seger Volume 1, which contained archival material from the 1970s and 1980s, including some fully or partially re-recorded tracks from his albums Smokin' OPs, 1972, and 7, 1974, and some never-before-released songs. The album was initially only available for purchase at Meyer stores and then later for download at bobseger.com. Seger contributed piano and vocals on Kid Rock's 2010 album Born Free. Seger staged a successful arena tour during 2011, accompanied by the release of a 2-CD compilation album, Ultimate Hits, Rock and Roll Never Forgets. On May 28, 2011, Michigan Governor Rick Snyder proclaimed that date as Bob Seger Day for his more than 50 years of sharing his celebrated musical talents with fans all over the world. On December 30, 2011, before a sellout crowd at the Mandalay Bay Events Center in Las Vegas, Seger closed another successful tour. On October 30, 2011, he told AnnArbor.com director, Bob Needham, he was returning to the studio to complete another new album for release in the fall of 2012, followed by another supporting tour. On June 14, 2012, Seger was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. On January 10, 2013, Seger announced another tour in the US and Canada. Seger performed a duet of We'll Stop the Rain with John Fogerty on Fogerty's album Wrote a Song for Everyone, released in 2013. Seger's 17th studio album, Ride Out, was released on October 14, 2014. Ride Out was accompanied by a highly successful arena tour of the United States and Canada. On December 22, 2016, Seger performed Partake Tonight as the Kennedy Center honored the Eagles. A few weeks later, on January 18, 2017, Seger gave away the single, Glenn Song, on his website as a tribute marking the first anniversary of the death of Eagles founding member Glenn Frey, with whom Seger was close friends. Starting on August 24, 2017, Seger embarked on a 32-city runaway train tour that was originally scheduled to conclude on November 17, 2017, in Chicago. This tour included a show on September 22, 2017, at the Palace of Auburn Hills, Michigan, which was the last event to be held at that venue. The same day, Seger announced his new studio album, I Knew You When, and released Busload of Faith, a cover of the Lou Reed song from the 1989 album New York, as the first single taken from the album. I Knew You When was released on November 17, 2017, which would have marked the last day of Seger's runaway train tour. However, due to an urgent medical issue with his vertebrae, all concert dates starting September 30th had to be postponed. Of the 32 scheduled tour dates, Seger could complete 13 and had to postpone 19. On September 18, 2018, Seger announced his final tour. Named the Ramblin Man Tour, it includes postponed dates from the 2017 tour as well as additional shows, and was scheduled to kick off on November 21st at the Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Lincoln Park declared November 17, 2017, Bob Seger Day, in the city. Mayor Thomas Carnes called Seger the voice of the city for their generation. Seger attended school there in his youth and performed at the city's bandshell in the 1960s. In 2023, Rolling Stone ranked Seger at number 181 on its list of the 200 greatest singers of all time. Bob Seger's musical style encompasses blues rock, folk, garage rock, hard rock, heartland rock, heavy rock, psychedelic rock, rock and roll and soul. Seger's first marriage to Renee Andrietti in 1968 lasted for 1 day short of a year. He had a long-term relationship with Jan Dinsdale from 1972 until 1983. In 1987, he married actress Annette Sinclair and they divorced 1 year later. He married Juanita Doricott in 1993, in a small private setting at the Village Club, in Bloomfield Hills. They have 2 children.